I 100% believe this is the best vehicle ever built. The vehicle itself, the engine, the transmission, the driveline, absolutely everything. Let's get in and have a discussion about some of the things that let down more modern vehicles, older vehicles, and why this is the meat in the sandwich that's just absolutely awesome. The vehicle itself, everybody loves it. I know people that have owned 80 series, 100 series, patrols back in the day, 200 series, 300 series, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that love their 200 series, but the majority of people I find that have owned all these vehicles, it all comes back to either the 120 or the 150 Prado. They're the ones they truly love, and the 120, there's just something about it. It seems to be more popular and more liked than the 150. Obviously, it hasn't got a V8, so it's a bit slower than the others, but anyone that owns one knows they go perfectly well. They do slow down a lot when you're towing, which is why it's a 4-cylinder, and I recommend a 4-cylinder is for limited towing or towing at certain speeds. You've got to be mindful towing with a 4-cylinder, big heavy weights over a long period of time. Other than that consideration, everything else on this vehicle makes it the perfect vehicle. It's short wheelbase, agile, easy to park in shopping centre car parks for those Touareg tractors, and when you get out on the tracks, there's a lot less 3-5 point turns than there is with the other vehicles with a longer wheelbase. They're not too big, they're quite comfortable still to drive. They're not big and wide and high and massive like some of the vehicles out there. The diffs, unless you hit the tracks and get a wheel spinning fast in the air and hit the ground, the diffs are rock solid. We don't see any wear and tear issues or diffs breaking until you do the wrong thing, and it's even rare that that happens, but you can pretty much take teeth off a crown wheel in any vehicle. If you've got big heavy tyres like that spinning in the air in low range, foot on the gas, the tyre comes out and hits the ground, say bye-bye to a few teeth. One of the benefits of the 150 and 120 Prados is the drive shafts. They are very strong and usually they don't break. They're one of the most reliable drive shafts on any vehicle, especially the fact that they last hundreds of thousands of Ks before the boots start to let go. From what we've seen recently, 450,000 Ks is past replacement date, so I'd recommend somewhere between 300,000 and 400,000 Ks as preventative maintenance on the front drive shafts, and that is absolutely amazing. If you look after your suspension and don't bounce around over those speed humps too much, you won't be doing lower control arm bushes or any other suspension bushes either. If you drive like I do, trying to use least of each pedal, you see a red light, you take your foot off the gas, you're not going to use much brakes either. They last ages. This one's done nearly 500,000 Ks. It's got all the original prop shafts and everything like that. So they're a non-issue as well, especially if you lubricate them as per servicing maintenance schedules. The transmission's been tested and proven for many years before it went in the 120. It's even in the 100 series, so we know it can handle more power and torque. Bada bing, bada boom, 5-speed auto, seemingly bulletproof. It's in millions of these 120 and 150 Prados, and we just don't see problems with them. If there's a problem, you're just probably the one in a million, or somebody serviced it, worked on it, put aftermarket parts in there, or the wrong oil or the wrong oil level, one of these things. So always remember, careful who you let work on your vehicle. Everything else, like master cylinders, aircon compressors, alternators, timing belts, water pumps, batteries, is pretty much standard on all vehicles. There's a risk that they can leak. Water pumps will leak on just about every vehicle sooner or later. We've got a program of replacing that with the timing belt. It's called the BFE kit, every 150,000 Ks, which is a bloody long time. For most people, that's probably 6, 7 or 8 years. All depends how many Ks you do. This has got the original master cylinder, the original ABS, the original aircon compressor. We put an alternator in after we had a bit of a flicker. It did come good, and the replacement is still in another vehicle. Somebody needed one desperate. It was on the shelf. I said, well, it was working when I took it out. Bada bing, bada boom, still works, but this has got a new one in it, like a new radiator that was working fine. All preventative maintenance. So everything around the engine, the whole driveline, the car itself, bloody awesome. Now let's talk about the engine and why it's so good and why I trust it and choose to stick with it. I've explained it before. So things were old. There was old cars, old engines with average machining tolerances, coils, distributors, points and leads and all sorts of things like that. That was okay, but it's kind of old school. They improved a lot since then on petrol engines, obviously. coil packs, coil per cylinder is the way to be. And I suppose it's the same with diesels. The older diesels, mechanical injectors and everything, and you know, they weren't that efficient. They'd all put out this black smoke. Everybody knows that diesel black smoke. Anyway, then Common Rail came along, and then Denso and the Common Rail system really refined it and got it working really well, where you get a lot more power and torque and efficiency out of the same engine. When I say the same engine, the example is the 1KZ. This is like a 1KZ bottom end. It's a 3-litre engine with a different intake and fuel system, and you get a heap more power, you get a heap more torque, and you get a heap better fuel economy, about 30% better on average fuel economy. Fact. We've still got the good old reliable timing belt, which is tested and proven. These timing belts are bloody bulletproof, like most of the Toyota timing belts. They know timing chains are a problem. Why the hell would you go to an engine or a timing chain on an engine when you know how reliable your belts are and how cheap they are to replace compared to timing chain problems and how expensive all those repairs are? So that's your first big key factor on a 1KD compared to any other engine with a timing chain, and Toyota have got some engines with timing chains at the moment. So you've got to work out which one suits you. I can tell you timing chain problems are a common thing with lots of makes and models. Oil changes and servicing will help, but it's not really going to prevent. It's kind of like you might get lucky and never have any issues, but it's sort of inevitable as well. So timing chains on most engines, sooner or later, problematic. That being said, on the V6 120, the 1GR, they seem to be pretty good. I'm not saying they're bulletproof, but they seem to be one of the good ones Toyota's put out there. So if you've got the V6 and you've had lots of oil changes and you let it warm up and all that sort of thing, I reckon you can keep smiling. Make sure you keep your coolant right as well though, because all alloy engine, you don't want that corrosion. Coolant's a lot cheaper than an engine that you can't buy new anymore. So it's a simple engine. It's got the update of the power, the torque and the efficiency, but without moving on to the next lot of emission problems. It's got an EGR system that we sort of know a bit about, as you know if you've been watching the videos, and how we can make sure that doesn't cause any problems for our engine like it does if it's standard. But it's certainly not causing as many issues as newer vehicles with more EGR flow, meeting stricter emissions. DPFs are obviously problematic. They have been 10 years before Toyota put DPFs on Toyotas in Australia. The DPFs were problematic with all the other brands, and by then most of them had got rid of them. And what I say is you can't not have a DPF in a diesel from about 2015 in Australia, but you can stop selling diesels because it's such a problem. Have a look at what Subaru did, by the way. Pretty sure Toyota's got to own Subaru or a good share like Suzuki and whatever else anyway, not going into that, but they got rid of the diesels because it was so problematic. People coming back all the time with DPF problems. So what do you think is going to happen to any DPF really, until I suppose you fine-tune the software to hopefully do that many burns, burning that much extra fuel that negates any savings and, you know, emission control, save the planet. Let's not go there too much. But so the point is, it's a simple engine. It's got the upgraded fuel system. It's bloody awesome. The EGR system is minimal and fixable, reducible, you know, 7mm reducible. Some people choose to get rid of it altogether. You can do that. We know someone that takes care of that at your choice. That's your choice there. I'm not talking about the legalities of EGRs in this video. Work that out elsewhere. But do you get my picture? It's just a simple, reliable engine. There's nothing really that lets it down. It's bloody bulletproof. These things, we see them at 500,000 Ks, the original engine, but people still talk about something about crap pistons. Well, if they were crap pistons, how the hell, on an average looked after vehicle, do they most of the time last? And this is what we see so far. Doesn't mean it's the end. 400,000 Ks, 450, 500,000 Ks, 350 even, right? And why do they last that long if the pistons are crap or there's something wrong with the pistons? If you want to talk about pistons more and crack pistons or not, we've got playlists on our YouTube channel about that, but it's super rare and it's avoidable. Engine maintenance, it's well documented by Toyota about injectors causing wrong combustion. So my maintenance plan is like your oil changes, your coolant changes, your air filters, your fuel filters, preventative maintenance, changing injectors, and don't just get them from anywhere. If you're going to get injectors, do yourself a favor, get them from me to make sure you avoid all the pitfalls of counterfeit, remanufactured, incomplete kits, people that just can't do the job right. Get in the VIP group. It's all about the VIP group. Get in there for clients, friends and family. After you get your injector kit, you join the group, answer the 3 questions. But this isn't about selling you injectors. That's part of the maintenance program to avoid it, but that's not all. You're going to need to have a clean intake system so even amounts of air get to the whole engine. You're going to need to understand if you're running it in overdrive, a loaded vehicle with big tyres, heavy modified roof racks and or towing, you're loading up the engine, creating a lot of heat, EGTs. This is going to be a big contributor. Really towing, only in 4th gear in the bulletproof 5-speed auto, the A750. What an awesome transmission. Anyway, I could go on about this forever. And bada bing, bada boomski, you can see it, right? Why would I allow my daughter to have a vehicle with 500,000 kilometres? She knows where it's been. She knows how reliable it is. What an absolute machine. The comfort, the way it's the best all-rounder 4x4 as far as reliability, drivability, comfort. There's others that'll have more power, more this, more that, different benefits. But the whole package, this is the clear and outright winner. The 120 Prado, followed by and/or the 150 Prado. And you know what? Hiluxes aren't bad either, but a Hilux isn't a Prado. And just like a Patrol and a 200 series isn't a Prado either. Now, don't get me wrong, I said at the start, I've got other people that love those vehicles as well. So everyone's different, each to their own opinion. But overall, I have never known so many people that love one particular car this much. Everybody loves their 120 Prado. You can't get them anymore for a long time. Shouldn't tell you this, but start looking around for that old one that's been sitting around stock standard that you can spend some money on and fix up. It's the way to be. Thanks for watching. Hope it helps you make a decision on what vehicle you're going to own, use, maintain, and understanding last of the best. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next video.